The following is a Thorf TV production brought to you in cooperation with Jack Thorfinson, part of our YouTube friendly series. Welcome to Tales from the Ranch, that relaxing time at Mr. Holster's ranch where he tells a tale. Let's have a big round of applause. Here he comes, direct from the barn, Mr. Holster! Direct from the barn. That's appropriate, Jack. He's an animal. Matter of fact, he's the biggest horses. Oh, wait a second. Hey, Mr. Holster, that's me. Howdy, Parge. Yeah, it's me, Mr. Holster. Welcome to Tales from the Ranch. Let's just get these tales out of here. Hey, adjust my camera here. There we go. That's better. Welcome to our new YouTube friendly show, Tales from the Ranch, where we tell a tale and then have a little talk. Before we get this show started, Jack made me a little cocoa this morning. Oh, that does smell just absolutely divine. To the sunny slopes of long ago. Oh my, that doesn't heat you up and cool you down all at the same time. Thank you, Jack. Jack makes fantastic cocoa, I will say. On this program, I'm a little nervous. I might have just another sip of that cocoa. It's so good. Yeah, that's starting to work. This new program, we're going to tell you a tale, and hopefully there'll be something there that you'll enjoy. The year was 1989, and I was chasing an individual down the center of 7th Street. I believe it was 7th Street. I chased him for approximately 4 blocks when all of a sudden I felt something hit my leg and my shoulder holster was lighter. I was wearing at the time a Bianchi shoulder holster for a Colt. And it was made specifically for this gun. It was an 80 series Colt. And it had not come unsnapped. It was still snapped. It was just such a poorly made holster and so poorly fitted that the gun just worked its way right out of that holster and came out. Needless to say, I never caught the gentleman because I decided at that point retrieving my firearm was more important than continuing the pursuit. And fortunately, it was a Series 80. But what this did is it started me on a quest to find a better product than that they had at the police supply store over there on Hennepin. Yeah. And what I came up with as a result of that was a gentleman who had a company called Horseshoe Products. His name is Andy Artunian, and he's out of England. Yeah. And he was making, at the time, holsters that were really sought after by people that were in the know and professionals. He was at the top of the game back then, and he still is, although he's 80-some years old, and some of the products he doesn't make anymore because they're a little difficult for him to make at this age. But he is still working and making things. And I've got some products here that I have bought recently from him to show you he's still making fantastic products. But what was so great at the time is he was cutting edge. A lot of the things he was doing, other people weren't doing. And there's nothing new in this world. If you go back and look at holsters from the Old West, a lot of these things pop up there. So there's nothing really new, but it's what you do with the concept and how you execute it that really makes you cutting edge. And he was. People that were highly paid professionals, bodyguards, they were buying his stuff because it was nicely done and it solved a lot of problems. And we're going to talk about that real briefly here, and I'm going to show you the products. Okay, I've got a holster here, a belt holster for my Glock 19. An absolute fantastic holster that he makes. And one of the things he does to his holsters that was at the time not found on many holsters was put this sweat panel on the back. And if you'll notice the sweat panel, how nicely it's finished. And even today, people making holsters don't do this kind of thing. They don't spend the time finishing the inside of the holster. And as a quick sidebar, I'll try to do it quickly because I've already eaten up 5 minutes of your life. We'll never get back again. That Bianchi holster had a suede lining, and let me tell you, suede linings are designed to keep your gun from having unnecessary wear on the finish. And I've always found that if you actually use your gun and train with it, you're going to be shooting that firearm and getting residue on it, and when you put it back in that holster, the suede just sucks it up, and it's next to impossible to clean suede, especially when it's in this confined area, because you need to brush it to clean it. So I've never found that having a suede lining has protected any of my guns. I have found that getting a product like Andy Artunian's, where it's molded to the gun, finally molded to the gun, and the inside of the holster is finished very nicely like this, that's protected the finish. And the beauty about this, when it's finished like this, is all you got to do is take a damp rag and wipe it off. And it comes clean. And I like to use a little silicone now and then, like once every 6 months on a holster I'm using all the time. If I'm not using it, don't putz with it. But if you're using it all the time, wipe it out like that and then take silicone and just go, that's it. Don't douse it in it, because that'll get into the finish and will start soaking into the leather and make the leather flabby, and you don't want that. You want it stiff just like it came. You want to keep it just like it was when it came. So at any rate, this at the time for me was like, oh, I'd never seen anything like that. I'd never seen a holster molded that well to the gun. I've never seen a sweat panel, which is just, to me, it was like, oh my God. Because the guns back then, they weren't so rounded and smoothed on the edges like they are nowadays. They were, kind of jagged edges digging into you. And if you were doing something like I was, where you're in and out of a car all the time, that thing's digging into your side all the time. So this was like the greatest thing in the universe to me. And when the stuff, so I ordered it, and back then you had to order a catalog from them, buy a catalog, and then it came through the mail, and then you sit and look at the catalog, and you're not really seeing the stuff, and then you make your decision, you buy it, and when that first bag of stuff came back in 1989, I can remember this, I was just literally blown away by it. Just incredible. Absolutely incredible. Just beautiful workmanship and beautiful holsters. And this is the thing here, instead of having all the snaps and stuff on it for retention, he's got it molded, which this is no earth-breaking thing to you, because everybody making Kydex holsters doing this nowadays. But back in the day, this was the guy on the cutting edge. And look at how well it's molded. You can even see the serrations from the slide right on the sweatband here. And what happens is you put the gun in the holster, and look at that. And your retention improves when you put the belt on it and starts pinching it. This is not something that's easy just to come up behind somebody and yank it out, because you got to have the right angle to bring it out, because it's got really good retention. Just fantastic, fantastic holsters, and they're fantastic to this day. And here I've got the shoulder holster he made for me not long ago for my Glock 21, and the shoulder holsters are just, he does the same thing, a fantastic job. And here he's old school like Mr. Holster, he's an old guy, so it's still got metal components on it, metal snaps, metal, not against plastic or anything, but I've never had a problem with his shoulder holsters, I'll just say that. And again, the same thing, nicely finished on the inside, nicely wet molded, and just a fantastic shoulder holster. And this is one of the best buys in shoulder holsters out there. He gets like $130 for one of these things, which is just hard to find a quality shoulder holster for anything under $150, let me tell you. And this is the best, world-class stuff. Professional bodyguards have been using his stuff for decades. But this right here, before I leave you, the last item that was the real earth-shaking thing to me was this magazine pouch, because I'd never seen a magazine pouch with a sweat panel on the back of it, which was just like, oh my God, because I was carrying those 1911 magazines with the metal floor plates, and they would just dig into your side all day long, and they'd ruin your sport coat and ruin your shirt, and these things stop that from happening. Plus, a lot more comfortable to have leather back here than the pointy little metal floor plate rubbing on you. And I can remember the first time I went to Gunsight and I had these and my Artunian stuff with me, and the guys all came around the table, and it was just like they'd never seen something like that before. Back in the day, yeah, I can remember that. Where'd you get that? Wow. And everybody's picking up, oh, that's nicely done, which it is. Just beautifully done. Andy Artunian, 80 years old, still making stuff today. What a great guy, too. I can remember calling up one time, and because of the time difference, I had to make sure when I was calling and get this time set, because I wanted him to make a holster for a Smith & Wesson 4006 that I had to start using, and it was a new gun. See, and I wanted a shoulder holster for it. So, and I had to call. The only way, because he didn't have it in his list, so I had to call him to see if he could make it for me, which he did. He did make me a holster for that gun, and I can remember calling him up and saying to him, "This is Scott Thorfinson calling from Minneapolis, Minnesota." And he's right away. He said, "Well, we've all got our problems, don't we?" What a great guy, and he just makes great products. Thought I'd share them with you today on Tales from the Ranch. Thanks for tuning in, guys. From Jack, who's not here. He made me my coffee, which was just fantastic, by the way. Or cocoa. That's cocoa. That's right. Gotta get my story straight. He made me my cocoa this morning, which was just fantastic, by the way. I just love a good cup of cocoa. Yeah. There's nothing that's nicer than coming in from the barn when it's cold and having a nice cup of cocoa. Jack's he went right back to bed because he was so tired. From Mr. Holster and Jack, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for subscribing. Now, yeah. It's YouTube. Go out and stay safe. It's 12 minutes and 30 seconds of your life you'll never, ever, ever get back again.